Hello there, Aquarius, Aquarius Rising, and all of you Aquarius Moon people out there. This is your weekly astrological and card horoscope for the week starting January 13th, 2020. And just a quick reminder for everybody out there, should you ever wish to get a session with me, you do need to go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com, or of course, you may also just simply follow the links below. So what's going on when it comes to your astrology over the course of this coming week? Well, on Wednesday, we've got Venus, planet of love, harmony, and affection, in your second house of earned income and employment, Pisces, forming a beautiful sextile to Uranus, which is currently moving through Taurus, your fourth house of home and family. And a very positive breakthrough when it comes to your personal economy seems to be changing the landscape of your home front or your family dynamics. Now, with Venus in the second house, a lot of you may be finding that this is the beginning of a chance to start, yes, making more money, to change the material quality of life, of the way you live with your partner, with your family, however you do so, but also at the same time, maybe even sparking further pushes for change in the way you carry on that space, how you actually run things in your castle. Venus sextile to Uranus can also indicate an opportunity for a lot of you to make some kind of jump, make some kind of shift because of a material breakthrough, either coming through family or through work, that allows you to actually have a lifestyle that kind of fits a more personal sensibility that was maybe not as easy to realize or as easy to enjoy as before. When we have Friday come around, we've got Mercury, the planet of communications, the planet of haste, the planet of speed in your sign, forming a lovely sextile to Chiron, which is currently in your third house of communications, pacts, promises, and commitments. And when we have Mercury sextile to Chiron, there is a chance to actually wrap up something that has been taking far too long, that has been maybe holding you back in the pursuit of, let's say, loftier aspirations, whether it's clearing through red tape, possibly something that you have to play around with as it relates to a record, or maybe a peer group, some kind of job opportunity, or maybe even qualifications, or maybe just gaining awareness around something that you wish to have. In fact, with Mercury in your sign, remember, for those of you who saw the monthlies on Patreon, we talked about how this is all about you being able to speed up processes, procedures, and anything pending that's been going a bit sluggishly for you. With Chiron in your third house, this is about speeding up the clearing and fixing of very old business. And in the third house, this has to do with deals, promises, possibly promises owed to you and promises made by you, as well as cutting away the cords that would bind you to those obligations henceforth. As we move into the cards, I do want to remind everybody that I have actually uploaded clips from the monthly horoscopes that are covering the lunar eclipse in Cancer, as well as the Saturn conjunct Pluto energies that are going to be with us for a good few months. And if you've not seen those yet, please go to my main channel page. You can just click on my avatar beneath this video and scroll down, and you'll find the playlist that has them. Or if you're having trouble finding any video that you might be looking for, please feel free to go ahead and look at the link I'm putting in the down bar below for a bit of instruction on how to find videos if you're having a hard time finding the one you're looking for. So, moving on, what's going on when it comes to your cards? Well, let's talk about the top row, the spiritual row, the energy row, okay? And looking at this, you know, for our spiritual themes, we have the King of Swords in reverse. And this is all about dealing with business that, or bringing to the light of day shadows, okay? So this might not necessarily be a week of shadow work, so to speak, but there are things that are actually kept suppressed, locked down, or maybe compartmentalized, that are not actually in the highest interest of all concerned. What the King of Swords reversed ultimately is somebody who lives inauthentically. They don't necessarily have a core sense of identity. They kind of try to just simply reflect back everything that they see around them if it seems to be convenient, if it seems to be advantageous in any way. They will suppress their true selves, they will block it out, they will appropriate or create a facade in order to get gratification in any way. And it looks like with these themes, you're going to be encountering a lot of that in your space, maybe even discovering that around certain people that you know, that you interact with. Now, the thing about the King of Swords reversed we have to remember is that this is not necessarily a good or bad person. This could just be a trauma response. You know, this could be something that they might be doing as a survival program. In fact, as we get into the influx card with the Knight of Swords reversed, we are seeing fights, we are seeing some conflicts that can come up. And a lot of that can be because, well, we're getting very close to somebody's trigger, so to speak. And this might not necessarily just be other people. This can happen to you as well. It's important to remember with the Knight of Swords reversed, though, is that this is something that obviously is getting a big reaction because it's a big deal, at least to whoever it is. So there has to be an air of neutrality and respect in going into it. Whether we agree with it or disagree with it, or believe in it or don't believe in it, that is irrelevant. And with the Knight of Swords reversed, the influx of that energy is you might even be noticing that among your own. Okay, so before anyone runs down to the comments and decides to say it's about a political identity this or whatever that, it's really not, because as I always say, your in-group is actually manifesting your reality 10 times more than any out-group ever will. And with the Knight of Swords reversed, it does look like there could be a harsh reaction, or a lot of that coming up, because you're starting to realize certain people that maybe you've allowed into your space, or allowed to maybe run the show in certain spaces that you have, are not qualified to do so, or maybe they're inauthentically. And with the outflux of the Eight of Swords, what's going away, I think it's important that we understand that this is all about taking off blinders. This is all about making sure that we, again, start to look at things from a neutral space. We don't excuse dysfunction and distortion for what it is because we understand the story behind it. It doesn't matter how important the story is, or how sad the story is, or how big the impact was. We still got to deal with it. And with the Eight of Swords going away, we have situations now where it's kind of like we have to deal with the problem. And sometimes people don't want to deal with the problem. If a person wants to hold up the problem, they're part of the problem. And so this week, it's time for a lot of you Aquarian people to see when a person is making you choose between them or you in such a circumstance, it's okay to choose you. And a lot of this is going to be complicated. A lot of this is going to be tough. But in the interest of yourself and the interest of all concerned, maybe it's a blessing that these, let's just say, firecrackers are going off this week. Better we know. And better it happen when we know it's going to happen. Let's look down here at the mundane concerns. What's going on when it comes to, to all of that? Well, for your material concerns, we actually have the Queen of Wands in reverse. And what's interesting about this is that in spite of the fact that things are going actually quite well for you financially, there may be some issues coming up either professionally or financially when you find out that maybe something has been happening where your decisions that you've been making are ones that you're actually being ushered to make by either maybe a boss, a coworker, a client. We may be finding out that somebody is trying to maneuver us in a way that is, of course, not in our best interest, but also it's in alignment with a priority that they have that is either immoral or unethical, or however you want to look at it. Now, with the Queen of Wands reversed, well, this person's caught. Because the Queen of Wands reversed, she's not one for subtlety. It's very hard for her to put her mask back on once it falls off. And I'm wondering if this might have something to do with that Knight of Swords reversed, because, again, we're getting into a reversed card where a person's toxicity is coming out. We're seeing a person's true nature. This is a time for a lot of you Aquarian people to really step up and make sure that you understand that it's okay to get out of dodge, especially if you find yourself getting led into a situation that is getting more and more dysfunctional. What I like about this, though, with the Queen of Wands reversed is that you also get a chance to be a bit of a hero and possibly collect some points, maybe even some extra money, for catching what this person has done wrong. For your communications with air, when it comes to your friends, maybe your relatives, the other people in your life, we actually have the Nine of Swords upright. And again, I'm actually seeing some kind of breakdown. Somebody's sharing their true selves with you. Somebody is actually letting all of their armor come down. With the Nine of Swords upright, in a lot of cases, this could actually be somebody who has maybe been holding on to a bit of a guilty conscience. Either something that they have done that maybe they haven't necessarily done it towards you, but they are making a confession. And I'm feeling like with the Nine of Swords, this is also somebody who is terrified of their own fate. They're terrified of what is going to happen next. Something that they have done that is ultimately going to either get them in hot water with somebody else that they care about, or get into hot water with you. How you choose to handle that is up to you. But again, a lot of this is coming out because it's not something we should be overlooking. When it comes to your emotions or your relationships, your romantic life, things are a lot easier. Love itself is actually going quite well this week. We have the High Priestess upright. And for those of you looking for new love or looking for new romance, it does look like you will be meeting somebody that, in a funny sense, is giving off the vibes of not being interested in anybody at all. And so we kind of have this... I wouldn't necessarily say dispassionate first impression, but we have a dispassionate first meeting. It's almost like we flirt through discourse. We flirt with our brains. You know, we're starting to actually we start off in a very intellectual way, and it could be through humor, it could be through mutual interest, mutual passion. But the High Priestess is ultimately going to reciprocate that flirtation, albeit it's going to be in a slightly off-color way. And I'm feeling like this is... you gotta be pretty fluent here when it comes to what's going on with these signals, because I feel like this person is giving you a challenge, but in a fun way. It's almost something like you'd see in a romantic comedy. For those of you who are currently coupled, the High Priestess upright is taking on a bit of a different flavor. I'm actually seeing your partner becoming somebody who is ultimately helping you to identify and solve a lot of what we've seen over here, because with the High Priestess, our partner is showing up as our advisor, as our expert, and they're showing up and getting involved. And I'm wondering if maybe with whatever's happening with these, Knights of Swords or this Nine of Swords here, if they're not actually going to be also sort of the hero of this story alongside you. Because the High Priestess is indicating that your partner is also coming into a powerful way when it comes to either mental or social resources that is actually going to be allowing them to also help you eliminate something that you no longer have any business carrying anymore on your back for another person. So that is your horoscope. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hell, y'all know I appreciate it. And should you ever wish to get a session with me, you do need to go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.